Um faca batendo baixo, a badaneda caiu. Um faca batendo baixo, a badaneda caiu. Cai, cai, a badaneda. A badaneda caiu. Cai, 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 badaneda. A badaneda caiu. Give thanks and praise, dissidents. We're going to build the wildest ship of Theseus you have ever seen today. The wildest vessel of speculative shape-shifting potential. So, my sources today will be, go get some, test me, There's your sources. All right. One claim I want to make today is I want to make a liar out of the zodiac, out of the star map. I want to make a liar out of the star map just for the sake of the Perseus myth. And I think this is kind of expanding on the Andromeda is in Pegasus being saved by Perseus, that image in the heavens. I just want to speculate on and bring some evidence to the possibility of the damsel in distress has a covert role reversal embedded into it. Now, the width and breadth of the details and the hints and allegations that this should be done are in the story itself. Perseus, he doesn't want to save Andromeda. He goes to Cetus and Cassiopeia and asks them for permission or for negotiations for the terms of the agreement. He wants the kingdom, he wants a booty, and he wants the wifey. And when he gets it, he abuses the power immensely, and it turns into a conflict in that kingdom. The whole story has a lot of evidence that is giving me permission to get a little malleable on the characters in the sky images. And so part of what's giving me the permission to build this speculative vessel is that Cetus and Cassiopeia are flipping positions in the order of the heavens all the time. I'm finding that Cephas is articulated first in the flow of time, and Cassiopeia comes last. However, in zodiacal and tarot articulations, Cassiopeia comes first, and Cetus comes last. So there's a bit of a ladies first, I think, observed, a formality. And so that gender switch in the parental correspondences, I think, is an ingredient that we do not have to apply to the parental roles, just for the sake of the speculative adventure. I want to consider, and I will bring an image. Oh, where is my map? Where's my map? Oh my goodness, I'm a Dora Explorer episode. I'm a total Dora the Explorer episode right now. Here it is. All right. Let's look really closely at the details. Now remember, the pupus and the printing press is down here. And the chain on the Monosaurus is mandatory. It's compulsory because of the lunar standstills. And the lunar standstills are way more prolific than than most people appreciate. And once you see the symbol of that chain, you know that you're dealing with lunar standstills. Also, we are dealing with the provenance of Eastern astrology. The Chinese are also incorporated into this chain of causality. These myths are the inspiring system and it goes all the way to the east, to the orientation of the mind. I'm remembering some of my notes. I hope I don't forget. Science. In my last video, I said, I don't believe the science. And I cringe when I say things like that because I don't qualify or support or elaborate. So when I said I don't believe the science, ooh, face smack. Before I believe science, I believe in the suprachiasmatic nuclei. Suprachiasmatic nuclei. That's what I believe in first and foremost. If there's words coming at me, I believe in the suprachiasmatic nuclei before I believe what those words are pointing at. So let me say that. I believe in a science deeper than anything that is encoded and decoded with language. All right. That was a lot. I hope I come back to that. All right. Back on the story. So Perseus is saving Andromeda, but this is the Perseus constellation, and Andromeda is riding the horse. I ponder how there may be stories in the old days that the lady, the damsel, might be saving the man, the male character. I just ponder that. But, you know, this is not a very feminine shape. It is broad-shouldered, much like Plato. It's called the broad-shouldered one. I see Plato as Orion, as it's the most anthropomorphized, therefore validating the forms. That it is the most anthropomorphized of all the constellations, and so it has dominion of the forms because we volunteer. We would all agree. Don't you think that looks like a guy? Yeah, that looks like a guy. It'll never not look like a guy. So Plato is Orion, really. But this guy's got broad shoulders. He's not looking very feminine, but it looks like the rack that is the hostage's mount. And so I don't want to sow distrust onto the constellations. That's not where I'm not trying to sow distrust, okay? But this is the moon card, and it has the rack. It is holding the equinox line. It is holding the equinox line. This will be the sacrificial mount. Also the St. Andrew's cross. I think St. Andrew's cross is implicit, and that has to do with the sadomasochism. There's the X. What is that called? The stirrup cross. It's so dark. It's so dark. All these things could be any way you want to take it. But I want to speculate. What if this is actually Perseus on the horse? I mean, that makes sense. And this would be Andromeda as she is on the rack and in a position of vulnerability. I just wanted to mention that. Also, quick note, the horse of Pegasus is kind of upside down. It's like he's walking on the waters of the heavens. Just an interesting point. But she's being saved from... oh no, did I get it wrong? I got it wrong. Again, Cetus is the monster. Cephas is the father. And I got that wrong. I always switch them. Here's Cassiopeia way up here. And Cepheus, the king, the emperor, he's even further up. He's up off the map. So I wanted to just speculate. What if this is actually Andromeda for the imagery's sake? And this is really Perseus coming to save her. But they wanted Perseus, the hero, to have an independent autonomy from the larger Trojan horse association. So they gave... Oh, also, this is where the Algol star is. It's actually on the hip of this character. Not really in the hand, strangely enough, which is kind of atomically accurate. I was thinking about that. Perseus carries the head in a sack on his hip, not necessarily in his hand. So even the fact that the head of Medusa has a sack red bag is anatomically on point because it's not in the hand of Perseus. I just wanted to say that sometimes the amount of detail that the story carries will really blow your mind when you find out how thoughtfully it's been laid out in the heavens. So I just wanted to speculate that maybe Andromeda is in the psychodrama, is this constellation, and maybe this is Perseus just for that one moment where they meet. It's a bit of a gender switch going on there, but I'm going to bring forward some images, and I don't know how this is going to sink in or transfer over. I'm looking at the witch trials, y'all. I'm looking at the witch trials, and I'm looking at the paintings that were the propaganda of the witch trials, regardless of date, time, or how true it is or how accurate anything is. The artists are adhering to astronomy. They are using the shapes, the general associative positioning of characters in the sky to embed it into the art to reinforce your suprachiasmatic nuclei and your entrainment into believing, because it comports to the circadian rhythm that is at the bedrock of everything. This is the shapes. Well, okay. Jordan Maxwell and all of the naval vessels and all the things being ships and everybody thinking that this is all about the aliens and everything is a boat. What's it all about? It's shapes. We are entering into Urania's dominion when we say ships. So these relation shapes become your Merkaba. And if you know these patterns, you can read between lines nobody knew were there. This is interledger agency. I'm going to bring this graphic forward. The pictures of the witch trials are always comporting to this aspect of the heavens. It is a sacred these are in high demand. The Messier Marathon segment of the sky, the spring, is the highest real estate there is. The royal families, they put a priority on landing their family name in the springtime, so you associate them with fertility. There is a battle for the names of these stars, and they want the spring the most. Okay, I'm ranting. The pictures of the Salem witch trials almost always come. Even the torture rack will have this character on the rack being tortured or tormented. And in the corner, this is creepy, is always the Inquisitor will be like Orion, like Plato, which that's a weave I don't have time for. Oh. And just next to the Inquisitor will be somebody writing it down. This is where the Puppis constellation, the Monoceros, these are the scribes. This is where the printing press is located. And what else? The big dog, that's the Dog Kings. A lot of people find out about 23 levels of security clearance above the president and realize he's a dog king. All right, a lot of obedience going on there. So these pictures are depicting witch being tortured, both men and women. I'm not into the gender biasing. Directly underneath her is the Horologium. The Horologium is the clock tower. And this is actually where all the writing is stored, but it's under the 30-degree latitude. We don't see it. It's in the subconscious, Horologium. So the whore is being tortured, and it's being recorded so that they can tell future generations how bad it was for everybody back then. And make it a gender issue as to who was saving who. Who was the bad guy? Who blames who? Black and white, whatever. False dichotomies, right? Horologium. I'm going to get super creepy, y'all. I'm going to get super creepy. Oh, in the picture, there are actually, this is one way to depict Andromeda or Perseus. Other shapes have this little capped head. I'll bring the graphic and look close. One of the women being tortured at the witch trials, her arms are exactly in the shape of Perseus. So I think the artists knew about this cosmodrama and were inseminating it through the paintings of the witch trials. And directly at the bottom of the Eridanus River is the Horologium and the fornax. So the fornication of the whore and paying time, hour, paying by the hour for fornication. This is all symbolic right here. And I found something super creepy, and I think sometimes I learn things and I'm almost compelled to tell it forward. But it's unfounded. This is the twig of my ship. This is the very flimsy ship, y'all. The Horologium constellation looks like a coat hanger to me. It looks like a coat hanger to me. And that's a hard topic to address. It's a very hard topic to address. This broken coat hanger, it's very hard to address a broken coat hanger. I think we are all hyper literate in ways that are not disclosed to us. But finding the Horologium to look so creepy, and it's such a simple shape, but it itself can be turned into a sigil and used for our subconscious consumption, and put caltrops along your beach trail real quick. Horologium constellation, the clock tower down there, is abbreviated as HOR, H-O-R. This is the House of Representatives, where all the candelabra, children speak, is being locked in place for those who trust the sciencership. The sciencership. Yeah. All right. I'm going to get back on the chiasmatic nuclei. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious does not just mean a word for big words. It is a word to give approval, a nod of approval. Be right back. Thanks and praise. Superchiasmatic nuclei. For me, this is the Holy Grail. This is the Holy Grail of it all. And a great deal of it is embedded in a labyrinth of definitions, really. But to know that superchiasmatic nuclei is actually just absconded from the pineal narrative. Everybody's talking about the pineal and don't jerk off because your pineal will pop. They're not talking about the SCN. And I'm finding this to be a gateway into what I've been seeing all along, which is the ignorance, the ignorance of the larger cycles and the larger language models. The larger language models are accessed through the suprachiasmatic nuclei, which is the foundation of entrainment. And this is why Bildungsroman is a novel form of education, which is to say, while you're learning linearly, there are greater imprints being instilled onto our psychic programming. Recently, there's people are putting together a very interesting narrative that the flavor of the sunspot creates the ambiance for or the stage for the global drama. And so the news of the day is comporting to the flavor of sunspot. A lot of this space is fake and gay is keeping us outside of the root of the codes that are in Orania's hands, y'all. So, for one, there's a good case that the Greeks might be fake. And if the Greeks are fake, then gay is definitely fake. But happiness is not. Happiness is as real as it gets. We've been shit-coding happiness by talking shit about what is gay. All right. I'm lecturing. Look at this guy. Thinks he's got the world in his hands. Gonna tell me. Great American Eclipse. GAE. The Great American Eclipse. Total solar eclipse. is an anagram for Aristotle collapse. And this is a command order from long ago. This is a command order from long ago. And it's also a breadcrumb trail pointing at Thomas Aquinas. And I have been digging in very deeply into the Thomas Aquinas fog of unknowing, the great cloud of unknowing. And I can't be careful enough. It's just not in me to be careful enough when I point a finger at Thomas Aquinas and say, see, he made us go awry. But then I study more and I say, no. He put it out. He put it out. And somewhere between him and us, it was lost again. So I have a lot of studying to do. Deep. The Duns Scotus, Thomas Aquinas, and the provenance of universals. That is, I mean, these are cliff notes to the cliff notes to a much greater project. But the concept of particulars versus universals, somewhere along the line, the Platonic system was released with great treasures not included. And in fact, I think the Plato's Republic is based on something much older, but all of the proper nouns are royal real estate, been handed to us by the authors. So between Thomas Aquinas and a great many other names and institutions between him and us, the Scholastics, very useful truths have been sifted out from our purview where we are today. And I'm looking for these treasures. They have a great deal to do with the celestial layering. And I really don't have the words to say this perfectly just yet. I'm going to use farmhand language to describe what I think I have found. And that is that the Scholastics held a layer of divine connectivity to the celestial realms, to the highest level. And in that layer, there was a need for a mediumship between where we are and what we can access. But the church said, no, there's no in-between layer. That's the Jesus layer. That's all Jesus. And they had to fill that in. And by filling this in with Jesus, human becomings became human beings. And so everybody now identifies with this higher level of the celestial layers, which makes them subject to the highest possible ideal. The highest ideal, the imaginative realm. You are subject to the highest that they can imagine. The Platonic systems were modest. They were earthly. They did not believe that they belonged in this. But Christianity said, no. Humanity is in there too. Jesus just lifted you up to a level of liability. And then the Christians will say, all you pagans think you can get close to God. All you pagans think you got access to God. But Jesus got you locked out. The pagans are down here. They're like, I'm not trying to say I'm connected. You guys have collapsed an entire layer of the cosmology. That layer that became the Jesus layer is trademarked. It's all captured. And it's harnessed by the provenance that is Netflix, that goes to Bernays, that goes to Freud, that goes to Giordano Bruno, that goes to the erotes, your desires. Those little cherubs that come and go and they give you a little craving, and then you overcome that craving only to succumb to some other flavor of craving. I hope these words are filling in some blanks. I'm going to say something else about pagans. I think we should be careful with that word. A lot of ladies, this isn't going to land. Can you be a pagan if you're under the covenant? And the covenant was taken before we had the age of consent. This makes me a bit of an Anabaptist. The fact that I agree with them very strongly kind of gives me a little taste of what it is to be an Anabaptist. And if you study my words, you'll get a sense of what I'm saying. So the covenant of the intralunar space, I think is what it's called, is paramount. It's paramount to understanding, because all of the intralunar space is the realm of presumption that is laid upon you, that you are subject to this ridiculous high ideal realm of forms. And something happened recently where they told everybody that the atmosphere is not as close as we thought. It's double in size, even more than double in size. They extended it past the moon. This happened in stride with AI, which is to say, hey, we gave you access to the highest ideals there are. Now you figure it out. All right, I'm going to end on something that is a project to expand out going forward. Moon landing. Doctored moon landing, like DR, moon landing, is a gematrological match for the Mylian dialogues. I'll try to bring the graphic. So many people would hear that and be like, huh, what? The Mylian dialogues. Every time anybody has ever said moon landing, especially if you said doctored moon landing, which is red, you've been saying the Mylian dialogues, which is the provenance of equity, which is basically, I oversimplify so much. God, I'm such a hypocrite by virtue of simplifying. I am such a hypocrite. Mylian dialogues essentially are summarized with: the strong do as they will, and the weak do what they must. Yeah. Mylian dialogues, moon landing, blow my own mind. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Ophiuchus, y'all. That's Ophiuchus. It's a hail to the November 22nd spell. All right, what else did I have on offer today? Nihilism. I just want to share this fascinating fact. And this is kind of a lesson in how definitions kind of get squiggly. And sometimes what we used to call it would enlighten us greatly. The word nihilism is a trigger word. And it would lose so much of its oomph if we just called it cultural exhaust. It loses so much of the mystery if you just call nihilism cultural exhaust. It totally demystifies it. And once I demystified the word nihilism, I saw Greta Thunberg at the mothership, at the helm of the mothership. Greta Thunberg is on the Aeon tip. She's totally a Hephaestus archetype, because Hephaestus locks down his mother and interrogates her. How dare you? How dare you? And he's double injured. She Greta Tintin. She's double vaxxed, y'all. But she's driving the mothership of cultural exhaust. The hypocrisy of, people just kind of recoil at hypocrisy, but it's saying so much more. She's blaming chariots. She's blaming vehicles. She's blaming mechanical innovation for destroying the world. in the Olympic pantheon, all those innovations go to Hephaestus, who is the volcano god. And volcanoes put out more carbon emissions in a single fart than we do in a year, all of us together. So she's repping volcano Hephaestus energy, trying to grill mama, which is also reinforcing the noble lie. Theogenes of Megara, that's the true archetype here. Research him if you want to get to Greta. But it is also based on the noble lie that is the alchemical system. As soon as you see Hail to Alchemy, y'all, this is all just provenance to the noble lie. Okay. Greta, driving the mothership of nihilism. That is cultural exhaust. What this tells us strategically is that our greatest gift is art. Art. Playfulness. That is our power and freedom. Is art and playfulness. Keep your culture alive, y'all. Keep your culture alive and keep your fellow cultures alive while you're at it. Much love and respect.